Some condos in Langley are a ticking time bomb, and if you buy the wrong one, you might not realize it until it's too late. And I get it, that sounds very dramatic, but it's really not. Far too often, people get stuck in condos that they can't sell. They're locked into these insane fees and they're forced to deal with a nightmare neighbor, all because they didn't spot the red flags before they bought. And here's the kicker, most of these mistakes are 100% avoidable. Now look, buying a condo, it seems simple, right? You find a nice unit, you get a mortgage, and you sign the papers, and boom, you're a homeowner. Well, on the surface, that sounds all fine and dandy, but if you don't dig into these things a little bit deeper, you could find yourself in a real mess. And there are certain types of condos in Langley that you should never buy. And if you do, well, you could be throwing away tens of thousands of dollars, or even worse, getting stuck in a property that you regret every single day. And I really don't want that to happen to you. And that's why today in this video, I'm going to be exposing 5 types of condos that could cost you big time. These are the properties that will drain your bank account of hidden costs. They're going to tank your resale value, and they could, again, make your life a living nightmare. And the worst part is that most buyers, they don't even see these red flags until it's too late. So stick with me, because the last mistake that we're going to talk about on this list is the biggest trap of them all. And if you fall into it, getting out of it is going to be next to impossible. All right, so let's dive in, and let's start off with the most obvious deal breaker, and that is safety. Because no matter how stunning a condo looks, if you don't feel safe walking outside at night, is it really going to be worth it to you? Now, that said, it's really important to understand some of the areas in Langley, especially around the downtown Langley area, because those areas have a higher crime rate. In fact, recent statistics show that downtown Langley's crime rate is 378% higher than the national average, with violent crimes being 259% higher. Now, is that something you might want to know before buying? Look, high crime rates, they don't just affect the quality of your life. They impact your property value too. You see, nobody wants to buy in an area where there's car break-ins, vandalism, or safety concerns are really common. And if buyer demand is low, guess what's going to happen? Your resale value is going to take a hit. So a quick tip here is to make sure you check out the crime maps and, of course, the police reports before you buy. And they're easy to find. Just look them up online and you'll find them there. Also, you want to take time to speak with the locals and get their opinions, because they've lived there and they know better than anyone. And also be sure to visit the area at night so that you can get your own personal feel for what it feels like there as far as your safety goes. And obviously not all areas of Langley are considered the same. They're just not. And some areas are better than others, much better, much better. So if you're unsure about which areas of Langley, what neighborhoods are a solid investment for you, feel free to reach out to me and I can help walk you through those best options. Also, by the way, if you're finding this video helpful, go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Doing so is going to help other buyers just like you avoid these very costly mistakes. All right, now listen, crime isn't the only hidden danger in a condo purchase. Some buildings in Langley, they're going to drain your bank account before you even realize what is happening. You see, most buyers, they focus so much on the price tag of a condo that they completely forget about what's going on with the monthly costs. And trust me, this is where a lot of people get burned. So you want to make sure that you understand that a good building should have a healthy contingency fund, because this is your safety net, really. It's for major repairs. So if something happens in the building and they don't have a really good contingency fund, guess who's going to pay for those? They're going to come knocking on your door asking for handouts. It's all too common. Number two is reasonable strata fees. Okay, strata fees that actually match the amenities that are being provided. So, if you have a building with a pool and a gym and all that sort of thing, your strata fees are naturally going to be a little bit higher to maintain those amenities. But if you don't have those kind of amenities, or if you don't even have a clubhouse, for example, why are the maintenance fees so high? You need to make sure there's a match there. And then number three is that there's no history of large special assessments. If you see a history, you might want to consider running the other direction. So again, if you see a building with sky-high fees and financial mismanagement, that is a really big red flag for you. So that's why it's so important that before you buy, that you request the last 2 years, a minimum of the last 2 years of strata documents. And you're going to want to be on the lookout for things like, one, constant maintenance fee increases. Two, you would want to look out for a low contingency fund, because again, that means that you are going to be paying out of pocket when repairs come up. And then lastly, number three, you're going to want to look for a history of special assessments. So basically, if you look at the numbers and they don't look good, please run the other direction. But here's the thing, money problems aren't the only nightmare waiting for condo owners. Even if your fees are reasonable, your daily living situation could be unbearable thanks to this next issue. So let me ask you this. Have you ever lived next to a noisy neighbor? It's annoying, right? Well, imagine hearing every footstep, every argument, and every late night TV binge. It's kind of like it's happening in your own living room. Well, some condos in Langley, especially those older buildings, and also those buildings that were constructed under a budget, are notoriously bad for soundproofing. And once you move in, you're going to be stuck. So here's how you can avoid this. Number one, you're going to want to visit the unit at different times of the day, especially in the evenings, because that's when most people, namely your neighbors, are going to be home. So you'll be able to hear if there's a lot of excessive noise being made. You're also going to want to ask the current residents if they've had any noise complaints. And by the way, you can also often see that in the strata documents if there's been complaints from other unit holders. And then three, you want to consider looking for concrete construction, because those buildings, concrete buildings, are much quieter than wood frame buildings. Okay, so here's where it gets even trickier. Even if the unit itself is great, there are these things called condo bylaws that could make your life miserable. So let's talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people don't realize this until it's actually too late. But condo buildings have rules that you actually do have to abide by. Now, some of them are reasonable, and some, well, let's just say that they can make your life a lot harder than it needs to be. So before you buy, make sure that you carefully read the bylaws and keep an eye out for those common restrictive bylaws, things like no pets, or no pets over a certain size, or specific breed restrictions. Like maybe you've got a 150-pound loving pit bull, but for good reason or not, they will not be allowed to move in with you. And then there's, of course, things like no barbecues on the balcony. So if you're planning on having a barbecue, well, you might want to think twice. And of course, there's the one that surprises a lot of people, and that is that you're not allowed oftentimes to do any renovations on your condo without first getting strata approval. So, if you plan on hosting barbecues, or you have pets, or you want the flexibility of making renovations without talking to somebody, make sure that you double check those rules before you sign on the dotted line. But even if the building checks all of those boxes, it has low strata fees, good rules, solid construction, there is one final mistake that can absolutely ruin your investment. And it might just be the most costly one of all. And that is buying a condo in an overdeveloped area. Yes, believe it or not, not all growth is good growth. In fact, too much development, especially in the wrong area or the wrong spot, can absolutely destroy your condo's future value. Overdevelopment is a risk for a few reasons, and let me give you a couple of examples. Number one, if too many new condos start to flood the area in and around the condo that you're looking to purchase, this can actually lower the demand for your condo. And that's because it's simple supply and demand. If there's too much supply, demand goes down, and then prices could potentially go down as well. And not to mention, overdevelopment can cause increased traffic congestion and lack of parking, which nobody likes. So it's something that you want to think about. And then one that almost everyone misses is understanding what the future development plans are near the building that you are looking to purchase. And that's because new high-rises, well, they could block your view, instantly reducing your unit's value. So before you buy, check those future development plans in the area. It could save you from losing your view, number one, and potentially tanking your future resale value. So listen, I understand that at this point you're probably thinking, heck, Glen, I am never gonna buy a condo in Langley or anywhere else for that matter, and I get it. I mean, hearing these kind of things, they can be scary. But my point here is to help you avoid the common pitfalls. It's not to say that Langley isn't a great place to buy. It's a great place to buy a condo. The truth is, there are a lot of amazing places to live in Langley, places that I would definitely recommend. So if you are thinking about making a move to Langley and you want some help navigating the market, feel free to reach out, book a call with me. I'm always happy to help. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video.